Here, especially on a rainy day. Thank you for coming. I'd like to ask everybody to, Reverend Steve Adkins, I'm the pastor of the church. I'd like to ask everybody to silence their cell phones unless they're medical or law enforcement personnel. Go ahead and I'd like to ask, I haven't asked anybody to light the candles, so I guess I'll ask you to light the candles. You can come here a little bit. Just press and hold the top, see if you want to squeeze the tree. Yeah.
Press that?
Press that, squeeze that. Yeah.
This part?
Little demonstration. Well, a lot of people hold that.
Oh, that's scary. All right. Be careful, tight.
Just got a new. As you can tell, the air conditioner's working today. So they got a new unit that's kind of bigger, so we won't have any more problems.
Thank you.
Steve, you get a chance.
We can't hear.
You get a chance, stop downstairs and ask, tell Manny, thank you for putting a brand new air conditioning system in out there. You jumped on it, got it done in a week, which is quite a feat this time of year with air conditioning stuff. So, like I said, you get a chance, go down there, patronize the store a little bit. Thank you for doing it. I'd like to please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the first hymn. Dear Father God, we give thanks for this time here together. May we feel the true presence of Spirit. May it allow us to connect to our own spirit. And through that, may we connect to the spirit of others here in love, hope, and happiness. May we feel the joy that this produces and the upliftment and hope. Amen. Like I said, this thing says it's off, but apparently it's on. The next portion of the service is a thought for the day from the pastor. Real quickly, though, for those that are new here, if you need to use the restrooms, they're down the hall, quick right, quick left. Cold drinks in the fridge, hot drinks and snacks on the back table. Just help yourself at any time during the service. This is where I talk about something that's come across my mind in my life, and I try to put it into a spiritual perspective. I call it turning spiritual knowledge into spiritual wisdom, practicing what we believe in the world around us. This week I was involved. I've got a lot of things coming up for me to find my way through. I'm retiring. Moving through the settlement of a long-term relationship, different things like that. So, and I was asking myself, is this the right thing for me to do? Now that question, while it might be the correct question to ask some of the time, that also invokes our emotions into the question. It invokes our instincts into the question. And sometimes you're not thinking in a broader spiritual sense. And I was getting no confirmation, no feeling in my own mind of the correct way to act when I was thinking about those things. So finally the question that I asked was, is this the right thing to do for this whole situation? And what that question does is it brings into play everything that's involved in a situation. It brings in the concept of God's plan for that situation. It brings into play the greater purpose for all people involved in that situation. And sometimes we're asked to play a role that is not always to our benefit as we see it from our own emotional mind. Sometimes we're asked to play a role to benefit somebody else. Now, I'm not advocating that we subject ourselves to dangerous situations and think God's going to protect us. We have to act with reason and common sense most of the time with these things that we do. You'll never be asked to give more than what you have to give without harming yourself or giving away that which you need to sustain yourself when you ask that question. And I found that to be true. So I asked that question, and once the solution came to me, and I began to share those solutions with the other parties involved, they were saying, why would you do that in this situation? And, my response was simply that I wanted everybody to be whole and happy when it was over. I did not want just me to be whole and happy. I wanted everyone. And when you do that, you bring in the purpose of God with these situations. And that's where I have the hardest time sometimes is I do mediumship, I do healing, I give a lot of advice, but following it myself, that's a whole other story. It's a little more personal then, and that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years, is trying to turn inward and work on personal development, because a lot of times in this craft that I'm in, it's easy to reach outward and not look inward. And I have had to start looking inward and have been for a couple of years now, and it's been a little awakening for me, seeing things about myself, having things revealed to me about myself, but it's also been very gratifying to have my spiritual beliefs sustained, to have my spiritual beliefs about the world around me validated by doing this. So I would ask you, when you find yourself in these situations, not just ask, is this right for me? Ask what is right for everybody involved here. Sometimes what you do for other people may be helpful and happy. Sometimes it may require you to do tough things that you really don't want to do. But it will be revealed to you when you ask that greater question and meditate on it. That answer will be the universal solution. And usually these solutions are final solutions. They're not things that leave any lingering. There's not anything that leaves any regrets when you have this kind of solution. And again, it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy to do. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have a little bit of heart pain when you do it, but it will be the correct solution, and it will be God's path for everybody involved. I remember my father told me one time, he passed away at 45. That's pretty young, because I'm 20 years older than that. He got killed by a car train accident in Naples, Florida at 45 years old. And he was one tough SOB, man. I didn't like a lot of things about him, but he had some interesting street wisdom about him. And he told me one time, he said, what is the worst emotion that you can feel? And I'm thinking love, hate, anger. And he says, no, it's regret. Because there's nothing you can do about it. All you can do is feel it and let it hurt. He says the secret to a peaceful life is to live your life without regrets. And the only way you can live your life without regrets is it doesn't matter what you're involved in, a job, a hobby, a relationship, give it 100%. Give it everything you could possibly imagine to make it work and happen. And if it doesn't, then you can step away from it without regrets. So this is how I'm trying to move through these challenges of my life. There's a lot of fear that I still fear about retiring and things like that, because I have a pretty good job and there's not a lot on the horizon for when I retire. I've had some teachers of mine, spiritual teachers, earthly spiritual teachers, tell me that, and some trance sessions with them that have predicted great success when I move 100% of the time in the spiritual work. So I have to take that step of faith and trust that what I'm being told. And again, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be human about it. You're not going to have that fear, that anticipation, that oh my God feeling. But you have that underlying faith and feeling of God's presence with your life. Thank you for listening. Please stand for the next hymn.
Number 11, Peace Like a River. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. I got peace.
seated. The next portion is the healing portion. I would like to ask Judy. The way this works is you'll hear a chime during the guided meditation like this. And that means a chair has become vacant either there or in the back there. And you'll move forward if you sit in the back there. It keeps people from having to look and see if there's a chair empty over here. And you can still enjoy the guided meditation. Normally Ashton does this, but she's not here today. She's gotten a cold that everybody's passing around. So I'll be doing the meditation. I'd like to give a little talk here, though, for a minute. I forgot to mention that a couple of the people here were at the beach the other day, and they were in the ocean, and they were next to a tent from the Baptists. And one of them got bowled over in the water, and the other helped the other up. They kept running out there wondering if there was a baptism going on. So now Valerie's officially going to give baptisms. Hallelujah. I'll say the prayer for the spiritual healing together on the back of the hymn. I ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from my mind and body and to restore me to perfect health. I ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and I will do my part. I ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help and to restore them to perfect health. I put my trust in the love and the power of God. I ask Lori to do a little accompaniment there if you're wanting to. I always prefer live music over recorded music. Adds to the energy. So go ahead and have seats over there. There's some seats in the back. Like the rest of us, we're just trying to find a comfortable way to sit. Begin to find the breath within your body. Find the relaxing way that this breath works with you. Gentle in-breath and out-breath. As you begin to feel the gentleness of this breath, the natural relaxation that it brings to you, you begin to feel a calmness centering throughout your body. Just a natural physiological calmness that the control of the breath brings. As you find this calmness and peace beginning to settle within your body, I want you to see the color that you find pleasing, or know the color that you find pleasing in the middle of your chest. And just begin to breathe that color brighter and the awareness of that color brighter with each rhythmic breath as it billows on a cold. Breath by breath, moment by moment, bringing the spiritual you into more awareness within your mind and body. As you breathe, the spiritual color of you brighter begins to expand until it begins to become all around you as if a halo of light around you. As you begin to feel this awareness of you as the Spirit, begin to feel that color penetrating every atom and cell of your body, uplifting, reviving, and healing. This spiritual rate of vibration brings to you a natural sense of that. As the calmness and peace begins to settle further with you, you begin to become aware of a sound at the edge of your consciousness, at the very edge of your awareness, and you begin to be drawn towards this sound at the edge of your awareness. As you move towards that sound, you begin to feel yourself relaxing further into that spiritual sense of who you are. As you move along this line to the sound, you begin to realize it's a sound almost like wind chimes in the distance, drawing you on towards it. As you move towards that sound, you begin to find yourself aware of drifting on the sea of life, the sea of creation, and you feel yourself connected to all that is alive and well today throughout all of creation. Feeling that connection, feeling God's plan for all that is within us, moving along, feeling cared for, feeling direction with yourself now by this natural movement of the Spirit within you. As you begin to move with this Spirit, you look down the line, back to the past and the sea of creation, and you see all of those that have come before you, those that are connected to you by the blood link, by the genetics link. You see all those that have come before you and have made choices and sacrifices, those both known and unknown to you, but know that they are connected. As you look down this line of people, you feel the strength of the commitments and that effort they made that in some fashion has allowed you to be where you're at now in this moment of creation. You begin to feel and honor and respect that effort of theirs and see more trust in those opportunities before you now. You see them being cared for by this God's grace through their lives and know that you too are cared for in this fashion. Being moved forward, taking that step of faith into all that is before you now in your life, knowing that the plan is there for all. As you move now and you look to the other side of the sea of life, you see the path before you. And on the path before you, you sense all those that have gone on that are connected to you. All your spirit guides, all of the loving presences in spirit who care for you. If you don't know them personally, you can sense the energy of who they are, drawing you on with joy and happiness, asking you to greet that which is before you with that God's love, letting you know that there is a trust and a faith there for you to move forward with. As you accept that guidance, you thank them for all that they have given you through your life to this point. You acknowledge all of the inspiration that has come to you. Whether you followed it or not, you acknowledge having received it. Thank them for their efforts and time. Ask them to continue to work with you in the coming days and weeks and years. As you begin to connect to this mind of spirit, you feel that unabiding love, that unabiding hope for you in your life, that higher consciousness that solves all, that reveals all, and cares about all equally. As you feel this consciousness, you begin to be drawn into the mind of God. And you see there yourself as a thought in the mind of God. As you see yourself as a thought in the mind of God, you realize that only perfectly balanced and perfectly harmonious thoughts can exist in the mind of God. As you see this thought of you, you begin to allow that thought to move down this connection from the Spirit into your mind and body. This thought of perfect health, this thought of perfect balance and harmony in your life. This thought of God washes over you as a grace of God, balancing, lifting, creating a sense of health and hope and connection to Spirit, reuniting with the Spirit. No separation between our minds and spirit. And we begin to feel that breath within our bodies and recognize it as a breath of life, reuniting us breath by breath with this connection to the mind of God. This connection is always there, It's only our awareness of it that lets us think that it is not. As we become aware of this constant connection and this love of God for our lives individually, we feel ourselves made more whole, more than we were when this started, allowing ourselves to have just a little bit more hope for our lives, a little more love in our lives, a little bit more love for that which we are involved in, and know ourselves have been changed and greet this new vibration rate that we are now aware of in our lives, in our bodies, and our minds. As we allow this to settle with ourselves, we take a moment to give thanks to this creative spirit for all that they have for us, for all that is there with us. And we accept that into our lives on an individual basis. As we feel this sense, we find that which is moving towards us. We have a sense of someone moving closer to us now, almost as if an old friend coming home. We feel them coming into this field of energy and awareness. And as they begin to become aware to us, moving through our minds and this field of energy, we begin to see more and sense more of who this being is. And suddenly we realize that it is our spiritual self greeting us again, reuniting with us as we were at time of creation, allowing ourselves to be without vision, total body, mind, and spirit in the physical, allowing that to resonate and live in the physical with us, allowing that to be part of our conscious existence. And we greet this total body, mind, and spirit feeling as we feel this sense of reintegration, making our spiritual selves relevant to the physical life that we are in. We begin to come back to the here and now, bringing this awareness with us, realizing that we do not have to sever this higher mindedness to allow our senses to re-engage, allowing our senses to slowly re-engage while holding this higher mindedness, keeping that connection to the higher spirit, ourselves, and the mind of God as we come back gently here and now. We find this spiritual power finding its place of rest and awareness within our bodies, whether it's the throat, the chest, or the solar plexus. We feel that storage area of where we know that there's a sensitivity to it, and know that if we touch this at any time during our waking lives, that it will call up this awareness and power, coming back gently, feeling the senses re-engage, slowly and easily, not severing this consciousness, breathing rhythmically, feeling that conscious awareness, knowing again that we can hold both the higher spiritual mind and the senses in the same moment, gently breathing, and as we come back, just slowly blink your eyes, don't open them all at once, holding that awareness with each blink, coming back gently to the here and now, little by little, moment by moment, reintegrating the senses, keeping the higher mindedness. The world looks just a little brighter as we come back and open our eyes, feeling that perfect sense of wholeness. Nothing is missing. All is present for us. Just hold that mind while we finish the healing. Just allow this higher mindedness to find its settling with you during the closing of the healing. hymns, and thank the Lord for that beautiful inspirational music. Please stand for the next hymn.
Number 10, Amazing Grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we no less days than to sing God's praise than when we first begun.
Please be seated. The next portion of the service is the inspirational lecture. Today we have David Garwood returning from New Zealand to share his knowledge and his understanding with us. First, I'd like to say, according to him, we're the ones that have the accent, not him. So we're just going to have to realize that when he speaks to us. There was a saying I heard when I was in the UK. They said that the UK and the US and New Zealand is not part of the UK. I'm going to make that clear. But they do have an English accent. They're the only two countries separated by a common language. So if he says something that means something different than what we think it does, just give him that one. David is here. He's also available for readings and healings. He has a private location here. If you feel so inclined, you can get with him after the service. But right now, he's going to share his knowledge and his hope with us. Please welcome David Garwood.
I needed. It was quite funny listening to Steve talking about fears and that. I've had a fear about doing this address because it's something which is very close to each one of you. This address I give, you've got to make your own minds up what suits you and what suits yours, and because you're being asked by the spiritual association and by other religious groups to remove a word out of your lot of your stuff, like the great invitation, to remove the word God and to use the word Spirit. Because all of a sudden they have started to review lots of old literature, like the Bible and that, and they've come up with different reasons. And it's all over the internet. And my guides, they said, this is your problem, Dave. you've got to go and talk on our behalf, right? And get people to make their own minds up, to use the one thing which God gave each one of you. They gave you free will. And free will is the most important part of this. Now we've got to go back somewhere in the region of 5,500, 6,000 years. To a time where man wasn't a human man like he is now. He had come through the caveman stages and all this. But there were things which were missing out of mankind. So if we go back further than that, right, we were creatures, we were Stone Age, we were thinkers. It made us different from the other animals. And I always say the word is thinkers. A teacher once told me that's what made us different. We could think. We had a mind of our own, we could work things out. Now, when we get back to that time, we're talking about Adam and Eve and what have you. Adam and Eve, right, were manufactured, Adam first, by God. Now, but he was created. Great creation, you may say. Well, why was he created? Because on this planet at that particular time, there was another species which was coming here to do mining. They needed gold, lots and lots of it. They had the same problem we've got today. Our ozone layer, their ozone layer was getting too thin. It was getting thin and they needed gold to put within the ozone layer. Our problem would be cured right away, global warming, if instead of pushing chemicals up there, we push very fine gold dust. It would allow reflections to go away. Those people who were down here were called the Anunnaki. And the Anunnaki found it pretty tough after about 700 years and picking up, it was easy way you could pick the gold up around South Africa and in other rivers and what have you off the surface. But when we had to mine it, they were a lot larger than us. So they found it pretty difficult to get this gold. But they saw this upright person who walked upright and everything else. And they said, that's just the person we need. Right. What can we do to make him less warlike, less fighting and less frightened, to get control over him? So they genetically modified us, just like we did with the sheep in Britain, and we're doing with a lot of other things. They modified, and they came up with man. Man who they could communicate and everything else with. But they looked at man, and then they looked at him, they thought, this fella, you know, if we give him as much knowledge as us, as we're going to use our genes to modify him, right? So he will work for us and we can communicate. He'll be as clever as us, and we don't want that to happen. So he actually shut down a percentage of our brain and allowed us 9% of our brain. And today, they will tell you, doctors, psychiatrists, the whole lot, we only use less than 10% of our brain. The rest of our brain is dormant. They don't know why. They don't know how to speed it up. It's dormant. So it was quite simple for them, once they could teach us. Now, all this is in the Bible. It's all in the Old Testament. It's only the priests which have changed things. If you read the Old Testament and you read Genesis, you will read everything I told you there. He created Eve. Well, once he created man and he modified man, he also modified the genes towards creating a woman. So he did. One came slightly after the other, but not like we're told. But Adam wanted a mate, so he please God create Eve. didn't happen that way. Great in fairy tales, but it just didn't happen that way. And then we're told about the story about the serpent and the tree of knowledge. Now the Bible states a tree of knowledge. It doesn't state anywhere I've seen an apple tree. It doesn't state an apple tree anywhere. It says a tree of knowledge. And what's the tree of knowledge today? A computer. It's got more knowledge in most computers today than some of the great libraries of the world. So it's got the knowledge within the computer. And it was also tied by the god of the anarchy, or whatever the leader was. Whatever you do, we're going off on a trip. We might not be back for a few hundred years. Now, as long as you stay in this place, which is Edom and not Eden, some of the old books pronounce it that way. As long as you stay within this garden, you'll be perfectly safe. But whatever you do, do not touch that tree of knowledge. Leave it alone. Set it'll run perfect. Well, I'm told he got a bit downhearted over this, but Adam wasn't performing like he should. So she decided to take a crystal, which was glittering on the top, right, off of the computer, and she stuck it in the belly button and danced to turn Adam on. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it at all. It did work. But all of a sudden she looked around and so did Adam, and they felt guilt. The Bible tells us so. And the whole computer goes, wow. It's gone. The force field's gone. And as the Bible tells us so, right, the force field, as it disappeared, it led all the animals, right, which were there, they changed. The lions ate the deer, and the deer ran away from the lions, and so on and so on. Now, she only took this and crystal because there was a serpent. Have you ever heard of snake talking? This one did. And it said, you can take of this. You can take of this tree of knowledge, and it will make you equal with God. And that's why she did it. They say it's the first sin. Well, maybe it was. I don't know. I wasn't there at the time. Then, right, if you go back and start to look at Egyptian history, right, what do you see the emperors or the pharaohs, what head are they using? They use the head of a crocodile. So we've got a serpent. The pharaohs had a head of a crocodile. That's how they show themselves. When they're showing themselves in a different glory, it was a crocodile. So what is a serpent and what is a crocodile? I ask you to do that. These were the people, right, today which we're talking about are trying to rule the world. They've been given a different name. But they're supposed to be reptilians. So reptilians were around at that time. There was a good way of writing it in the Bible without using the word reptilians. So they were on this planet. So we had two groups on this planet, which may have been here before mankind was. So we may be this planet we have to share with other people. There is no doubt. Maybe they're not as nice as we would like them to be. So we've been asked all of a sudden, when the world is getting in its worst condition, right, and people are killing themselves all over the place and then trying to kill others. And ethnic cleansing is going on. The biggest part of ethnic cleansing at the moment is going on right now throughout the Middle East. It doesn't matter who's doing it, who started it, or what. It's happening. And it's not just happening in the Middle East, it's also happening throughout Europe. It's also happening throughout the United States, your level of expectations have dropped. Your manufacturing is right down to being number one in the world, to not even making third base. So it's dropping down, and the only people suffering from it is us, you, I. But there's something great coming out of this. And I'm not talking about something great being the world's order. Out of chaos always comes something beautiful. And that chaos is going on right now. By hundreds of people, right, being displaced from their homes, running away from, right, not just their homes, they're running away from their traditions. And that's something terrible, when you have to leave your house and leave your traditions. Ask the Jews. The Jews what left Russia, and all the other people, the gypsies, what left. And people that left Russia what actually came here, right, and created America. These were the families. Now they're being asked to leave the Middle East. You've got the Pope turning around and saying, take at least 2 into your home. He said it this week. He's asking every religion, regardless of what you are, to take 2 refugees into your home. Well, not many of us would do it, I'll tell you, because we haven't got the money to do it. We haven't got the will to do it. But we are something very special. The God we've got, and which is there, is the God which is in here. It's not what some priest has given you, or what you've read in the Bible. That's not the God. The God is within us. This is the God. They can't make you take that away. They can't stop you from saying that. As a spiritualist, and a spiritualist that works in different parts of this world, after every reading I give and every time I meet someone, the last thing I say is, let your God bless you. It's part of the spiritual movement. They can't remove that. They won't ask us to remove it. You ask them why. These people, why we're removing it. Oh, they say it's too hard to answer the question. It's not politically correct. Well, what is politically correct? Are you politically correct? I'll tell you what, I'm not. I never was. I've never been politically correct. I've never taken my hat off to anybody or bowed down since I was about 12 years of age. When I said yes sir, no skirts, because I was going to get 6 of the best on my hand if I didn't. So it was physical punishment. You know, I left school and finished up going into the military. I'm being trained virtually as a paratrooper. Professional killer for the Queen. And that's what it was. Nothing more, nothing less. It wasn't to defend my country, as we're led to. It wasn't to lead that at all. It was to protect her and her minions. Australia, New Zealand. America didn't come into that. I'm giving you away years ago. King George did that. But it's what we are. Now America is finding itself doing the same thing. Right, defending the rights of other people. Now if you can believe that or not, and for me to stand up here in America and say this, it's very, very difficult. More likely I'll never be let back in. And everybody says, all right. But it's to protect, your industry. But you gave that away. You gave that away in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. Your industries have been given away. You gave away those factories and everything which made America, like Detroit and all that. You gave all that away to other nations. And now you've got unemployment and you've got poverty. So please look at this, start looking at things within yourself. The God which is always there is the one which is in you. That wasn't created by no alien, yeah, right. That was created through the cosmos. We're not just children of this planet, right, called Earth. This Earth travels at millions of miles an hour with the rest of our solar system through the cosmos. And to do one whole trip takes 32,000 years. So who are you children of? You're children of the stars. The stars are in each one of you. You're made up the same material as what makes up the cosmos. You are blessed. You're the most blessed people I know. That is the human race. We are blessed. The biggest blessing we can give is to love one another and to love ourselves. So I'm going to leave this with you. Please, learn to love yourselves. Don't let anybody at all, change your mind. Love yourself and love the God within you. Thank you for listening to me. The first thing I normally put out information because the Spirit gave me a name and we work with the name, if we can do this. Well, other names will be given to me through the process. Now, anything we say you can only take if you want to. And it's most important. First name I've got coming right in my head at the moment is a male which has passed, and I'm getting the name Tony. Has anybody got Tony in the spirit world? One here, nobody else. One there. One over there, one over there. Okay, we've got 4 Tonys. The Tony I've got, I'm going to explain to you what he actually looks like. Right. First of all, this Tony, right, he was a sort of person, I can honestly say, he was a no-nonsense man. He didn't take nonsense off anybody. Also, look at him. Come on, Tony, show me something about you. Okay, your hands. Yeah, always like the hands, Tony. This man constantly, I'm seeing his hands, they're quite large hands, but what I'm seeing him, they've got like dirt. So he would have been working with earth or machinery or something, so it didn't matter how much he would have washed his hands, he wouldn't have had clean hands. Now that should have dropped some of you off. Hope it's not dropped all of you off. It's your father, is it? Right, there's nobody there? No? Okay, can I work with you then, my dear? Thank you for that permission. He was a man which never got himself out of his working clothes. Can you understand that? He was always working. If it wasn't right on the cars or on the property, right, he'd lock himself away in his garage and his workshop. Huh? It's into cellar, okay. He would lock himself in there, right? Now, the thing was, he was a man whose language wasn't always what we could say prim and proper. It's like me when I myself with a hammer. Certain words come out which, right, you shouldn't say around ladies. But the trouble is today I am all ladies, say it, man. Okay, I'm also seeing something, right, as he got older, he actually got broader around here. And he'd wear his belt regardless. He used to wear braces, because I'm seeing braces on him. The suspenders, right. Okay, he's wearing suspenders, but he still used to put his belt on. It was on the outside. It wasn't in the loops. It was on the outside. I don't know if he expected it to pull this bit in. But then it would have gone boom, boom. What is coming through, because I know everybody says to me, you go to America, they've got to give messages. They like messages. Everybody likes messages. Well, they do in Britain, too, and they definitely do in New Zealand. There's no difference. Our mediums in New Zealand are trained the way American mediums are. So you like messages. And what he's telling me is, you've had some worries lately. Right, and the worries, he says, will go away.
I know that.
But he says, the problem is going to take a lot longer to go. Does that make sense to you? And he's saying, you know, but they will go. They will go, and they will go and be replaced by love. And you've always got his love. Does that make sense to you? Thank you for working.
Thank you.
I've got a female energy coming through, and I want to come up right with, I'm trying to work out what I'm getting here. I'm getting two names at once. I'm getting a Mary and I'm getting a Margaret.
Margaret Mary.
You've got a Margaret Mary. Right, thank you. Anybody else hasn't got Margaret Mary, have they? Right. And I feel this would have been someone, right, who's very close to you. I want to turn around. Is this a mum or a stepmom?
No stepmother, mother.
This mother. Okay. Why am I getting a stepmother too coming in here?
I was a stepmother. My name is Margaret Mary. My
Okay.
mother's name was Margaret, but I was a stepmother.
So you're the stepmother. Okay, I know I've got a stepmother coming in here. I also think you didn't bring up just one child, you brought up a number of children. Does that make sense to you?
I was a teacher.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. Right, you was a teacher, but you had lots of, but I've got a little boy with me here. It's hard to tell a child's age when you've got them in spirit, but I've got like a 12-year-old boy, and he says you were always there for him, even though he wasn't always acceptable by the other children. Does that make sense to you? A 12-year-old, maybe younger.
He's in spirit.
He's in spirit, yeah.
Maybe one of our students.
Does Tommy mean anything to you? Tommy? Tom? In spirit, little boy.
I don't know. I was very bad.
Oh. Well, I want to... It's saying thank you for it. I don't think he died because he was sick or anything like that. Though he was a very sick child. Because he often wasn't at school. As if he wasn't at school. But I actually feel he left school and ran into a motor car. If you can't bring it to mind, maybe it will happen later on. But there was also a girl around, and this girl, right, I'm getting there. Get the word Geraldine. Geraldine. Okay, have I moved? Can anybody else take the word Geraldine? You?
Geraldine?
Geraldine or Geraldine. And she's in spirit. Okay, just stay with me. This happens where you've got two energies pretty close together. If you've done your training at the Alpha Finlay College, we always go to one behind, to the left, the right and the back. Because that's where the energy can be coming in. This Geraldine, was she someone who, come on, give me straight. Was this Geraldine someone who used to get very, very nervous? A very nervous person?
Maybe, I don't know. It was my dad's cousin.
Okay. So she would have been a lot older. Or would she have been round about? She'd have been younger than your father.
Yes.
I'm saying someone who would have passed somewhere in her early teens or late, in her early teens.
Or 20s, yeah, early 20s.
Early 20s, okay, I can accept the 20s. She was a girl who would have tried everything, you know, her life. She wouldn't have been a quiet one. She loved to play. And I mean, I say play, she's telling me, right, she would have loved to actually have played up too, but didn't get the opportunities. Does that make sense? Yeah. And she's talking about, I shouldn't bring this up soon, I know you just, she's been following you on this trip. And she said, how did you keep your cool? And that's the word she's using, cool.
I had a good teacher back then.
She's saying, how did you keep your cool? Or even your sanity? And why is she saying this? She said, you know, I followed you because I wanted to do that trip myself.
I had a bunch with them,
Yeah. And she said it was marvelous to see places, right, which she had read about, right, she could travel with you. Even in the spirit world, there was a fear within her, right? She needed a friend. And you become that friend, even if it was unwittingly or not. So I'm going to leave her love with you.
Thank you.
One of the things that's been happening to me lately, I didn't go to the Arthur Finlay College lately because all my teachers have died. In the last, Glenn Edwards, Colin Fry, and 2 or 3 others have died. So don't know where that puts me. Am I one of the last? I've got a Mike, commonly known as Mike, and Michael. There, and one there. Am I getting with you and Mike? I want to say it's like a father figure, but I think it's more like a brother figure. Is it father or brother? It is brother. What about you? Yours is brother too. Okay. I'm getting a person, he was built similar to me, but he didn't have this. What about, he was big. Okay, I must be with this gentleman here. As I pull it in, I need that big belt. Okay, so I'm going to turn around and say, this boy, and I'm going to call him a boy, because I think could I say he could find trouble wherever it was? Occasionally, he could find trouble. Because he says to me, one of the ways problems which called him to, I'm feeling an impact. I'm feeling an impact like boom, and I'm on the other side. Does that make sense to you?
That's our brother. That's our brother.
It's your brother, is it? Okay. I'm feeling boom, and it's over. And I'm also finding it'd be kind to say he was a daredevil. That's the kind way of putting it. He was into everything. He really was. When I say everything, right, he didn't mind what way he got his kicks. I'm putting this nicely. Can you confirm that?
You want to talk about it a lot.
He wants you to talk about it. And I tell you why he wants you to talk about it. Because he said it's repeating itself again within the family. Can you confirm that, both of you? And he said, please remind them, they don't have to follow in my footprints. It wasn't clever. It wasn't clever the way I worked and what happened to me. You know, he said, I would have liked to see my life out as full. But he said it cut me off. Not only did he leave children behind or something, because He's talking about family he left behind. He wanted to be here for them. He wanted to be here for them. And he said it wasn't clever leaving over there and looking down and watching somebody else bring them up. And he said, thank God someone did step into the shoes because it was needed. Because they didn't want, he doesn't want, is it a son? Has he got a son here?
My nephew.
He's got a nephew here.
Several.
And it's a male, isn't it? Because he said, I don't want him to follow my footprints and think it was clever what I did, because people still tell the stories about him. And he's come a bit of a folk hero. And he said, I don't want that. He said, I don't want to be seen as a folk hero, because people follow folk heroes. He said, just make sure they know I much prefer to be there where I am now. He said, I'm in a far better place than I ever was. He said, and I love where I am. And who's Kimberly? One of your grandmothers.
One of his stepdaughters.
And she's in spirit too. Okay. So why does he mention Kimberly? Come on, let me have
She
it.
has a son. She has a new son.
She has a son, but he's still here. Yeah. Is he going the same way?
He's too young. He's little.
Is there something to do with the naming of that boy? Are they similar names?
They live in California. We have very little contact.
Be interesting just to find out if the names are similar, because he knows about this.
All of his sisters have children who have his middle name, and Michael is the middle name.
Okay. Well, I think he's pretty chuffed about this because, right, he knows of it, but he doesn't want any of them to turn out like him on this side. What they do on the other side is up to them and their guides and their teachers. But that's what he's saying. So thank you for working with me. And it set my love and the love of him. You know, everybody who comes from me, they always come through. They may not give a message, but they come through with love. Otherwise they wouldn't bother. Look at Ruth, some more. Okay. I've got a nursery rhyme going through my mind, and this often happens, so don't all jump out, everybody in the room. I've got a nursery rhyme going through my mind. Wee Willie Winkle. Does that mean anything to anybody here? Did someone's grandfather used to say to them before they went to sleep, Wee Willie Winkle run through? I can't even remember it. Okay, is that the one where he jumps over the candlestick or something?
No, it's a different
I can tell you something about that. That person who jumps over the candlestick, he was in a place today which starts with the letter B in London. You can work that one. Okay, are we with you?
My grandmother used to sing that.
She used to sing that too. Okay, because downstairs, in his dressing gown, it is the one I'm thinking of. Right, does he jump over a candlestick? It's in the old Victorian times. I know the meeting because I read them. Yeah, and it means he was a bit of a